The Denver Broncos just made their feelings clear on if they want to make a move for Deebo Samuel. But before we talk about that, guys, I want to shout out the affiliate partner for today's video, Green Gridiron Helmets. Use code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description below to save off your first purchase on authentic NFL helmets. From small replicas like this one behind me to full-size authentic helmets. Again, that is code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description below to save off your first purchase from Green Gridiron Helmets. Thank you so much to them. And now back to your regularly scheduled content. Deebo Samuel has been a topic of conversation here in the Mile High City ever since he requested a trade out of San Francisco. Although he doesn't fill the Joker role by what Sean Payton defines it as a elite tight end or elite tight end or running back with receiving skills. But I honestly feel like Deebo Samuel, the reason why a lot of people here in Broncos country want him here is because he could essentially be like a jacked up version of Marvin Mims. At least that's what some people here in Broncos country are thinking. But I want to go ahead and bring in this tweet from Chris Thomason of the Denver Gazette. 49ers general manager John Lynch actually spoke to the media today, and he talked about Deebo, and he said that Deebo asked for a fresh start and the 49ers are going to honor that. Additionally, they need to free up money in order to pay Brock Purdy, so I anticipated Deebo probably being gone regardless. He just was a shell of his former self last year, and the 49ers are ready to move on. But according to Chris Thomason of the Denver Gazette, the Broncos do not have interest in Samuel. That doesn't surprise me at all, because the Broncos already have Deebo Samuel at home. His name's Marvin Mims. Yes, in theory, maybe Deebo could become like the next upgraded model over Marvin Mims, but they already do a lot of the same things. They're both mismatch nightmares out of the backfield. They can both line up in the slot, and they can both line up out wide as well. Deebo Samuel, from an athletic perspective, is not the same player that he was even 2-3 years ago. He has lost a step athletically. He is not that same dude. He is not the same speed mismatch nightmare that he once was. He doesn't have that burst or explosiveness anymore. Additionally, you've got to call it for what it is. I question mentally how much Deebo Samuel is actually committed to this game. You think about all of his social media tirades, all of the off-field drama that is associated with Deebo Samuel. I just don't think that he would be a good fit for the culture that Sean Payton is trying to build. He just got rid of a toxic diva wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy and was very happy to do so. I do not see them bringing in another diva toxic wide receiver like a Deebo Samuel. Samuel just does not seem like a guy who Sean Payton would jive well with. And I've talked about another wide receiver that I think the Denver Broncos really should have heavy interest in, and that's Cooper Kupp. I think Kupp makes a lot more sense because he's the best blocking wide receiver in the NFL. The Denver Broncos' run game was so piss poor last year, not only because of inconsistent personnel in the running back room, but because of inconsistent run blocking. And there were really three positions where those issues really popped up. The center position with Luke Wattenberg, the tight end position with pretty much everybody in that room, and the wide receiver position with Little Jordan Humphrey. Yes, Little Jordan was the best blocking receiver that the Denver Broncos had last year, but that's not saying a whole lot. He still had multiple blown blocks on run plays and on screens that led to potentially big plays turning into negative plays. That's not something that we can live with. And Cooper Kupp would immediately come in and provide you a massive upgrade in that department, and he would boost your run game. Plus, he's still a really good mismatch nightmare out of the slot. You can line him up close to the line of scrimmage, and he can sort of play almost like an inline type player, and you have him in there cutting out defensive ends and stuff like that. I could totally see Cooper Kupp filling that role, and there's still plenty of ways that they could use him in the receiving game, and you could also have both Marvin Mims and Cooper Kupp on the field together. whenever Mims is in the backfield, you need somebody who can line up in the slot, and that's the role that Cooper Kupp can fill. Additionally, you could put Cooper Kupp out at the Z position and you can motion him and move him and keep Marvin Mims in the slot. I've seen people say, oh, the Denver Broncos shouldn't trade for Cooper Kupp because that would take snaps away from Marvin Mims. No, it actually wouldn't. There'd be plenty of ways that you could use them both on the field at the same time and actually create a lot of mismatch nightmares. The Denver Broncos under Sean Payton have been one of the top teams in the NFL in terms of mixing up their personnel and bringing in different guys, different personnel packages. You know, they have traditional 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end, 3 wide receivers. They have your traditional 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 3 receivers, or 2 receivers. They have your traditional personnel groupings, but they mix up the guys that they bring in those personnel groupings. So sometimes you'll have 12 personnel and your 2 tight ends would be Adam Troutman and Nate Atkins. Sometimes your 2 tight ends would be Nate Atkins and Lucas Kroll. And then your 2 wide receivers would be Cortland Sutton or Little Jordan Humphrey, or Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims. And then they'd mix up who the back is as well. So they'd have their various personnel groupings, but they would also be able to mix up who they bring in those personnel groupings, and Cooper Kupp would just give them another efficient weapon in that area where you can mix up your personnel groupings and bring in a bunch of different guys on the field at the same time to create mismatch nightmares for the defenses. So that's why I'm such a proponent of bringing in a guy like Cooper Kupp. Deebo Samuel, he just does not seem like he'd be a good fit here for the locker room. Cooper Kupp is a hard worker, lunch pail type guy. Never seen him complain once. I think Cooper Kupp would be just a perfect fit for the culture that Sean Payton is trying to build here. I feel like Cooper Kupp is a lot more akin to what Sean Payton wants in a wide receiver. And I think Deebo Samuel, like I said earlier, is a little bit closer to a Jerry Jeudy in that regard. And that's the kind of toxicity and, I hate to say it, but locker room cancer that Sean Payton is really trying to eliminate from this building. So I'm curious, Broncos country, do you think that the Denver Broncos should maybe pivot their opinions here and have some level of interest in Deebo Samuel, especially if he were to get released? Because I don't think giving up draft assets was ever in the cards for Deebo Samuel, and I also question what other NFL team out there is going to want to give up draft assets to get Deebo Samuel. So for me, at least, I think the more likely scenario here is that Samuel actually gets released by the 49ers, allow him to hit the free agent market and really see where his market's at, because he wants to get paid like a wide receiver when he's just not a true wide receiver in the NFL. He's kind of a move guy, more of a gadget type player at this point in his career. And like we talked about already, the athleticism just is not what it used to be with Deebo. So, excuse me, I think he's going to get to the market and kind of realize, oh, I'm not going to get anywhere close to the amount of money that I was initially going to get. Could the Denver Broncos maybe have interest in that scenario? Maybe, but I doubt it. I'd keep an eye more in the eyes of like Cooper Kupp or somebody like that. I just think Cooper Kupp makes more sense for this team than a guy like Deebo Samuel. All right, Broncos country, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.